Coming up on Colourful Layers, it's an episode around finding one's path with our guest Bongeka Mhlongo. Welcome to the Colourful Layers podcast, a platform for unfiltered women conversations. My name is Khomotso Daji, but you can just call me Moto. I'm a former radio broadcaster with a love for storytelling. Join me each week as we plug up the courage to peel through life's sometimes beautiful or messy, but always colourful life stories and experiences with amazing women from various walks of life. Hello, I come back. That is my poor attempt at the popular viral TikTok video of young Tato that took 2021 by storm. But wow, I have to say that it feels so good to be able to release another episode of Colourful Layers after such a long break. And I have to say, on my intention list for 2022, God willing, is to release consistently every single month and really just continue to evolve and grow the platform. So I hope that you will hold me accountable for that. How are you doing, by the way? The world as we know it never sits still. 2021 is literally done, and just as we thought we were seeing the last of COVID, hello, a new variant is here. Omicron. I really hope that you are keeping well and are keeping safe. The last 2 months have been a mixture of nerves, excitement, and I suppose a little bit of anxiety. No, I lie, a lot of anxiety. Starting a new job in this new world of ours, and interestingly enough, having to onboard remotely, well, that has been quite an experience that I think deserves an episode of its own. But I think that after a year of so much uncertainty and turmoil, I'm just super grateful to God that not only do I get to have a new beginning, but I've noticed that a few other people also around me have had this opportunity. And I think that the fact that you and I are still breathing, well, we have loads to give thanks for. Let's jump straight into today's episode, which was actually inspired by the fact that while I was still in the conceptualization stage of the podcast, the topic around finding one's path was one of those that I had penned down on my wish list. Not because it's a popular episode, okay fine, it is a popular episode, but because a few months before releasing the podcast, I had actually been grappling with this topic. It was during a time where my radio career had just come to an end, and although I was fortunate enough to have a job, I needed something that would speak to my soul, make me feel like I'm nurturing that seed that was planted right within me. Gosh, I know, yet again, I am sounding super corny, but that's literally what this outlet is for me. So once again, coming across today's guest, she not only articulated the vision for this episode, but she took it a step further. She is simply one of those individuals that once you start a conversation with her, it just flows naturally and you find yourself unraveling beautiful layers filled with precious gems. My guest's name is Bongeka Mhlongo. She's born and bred in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. She works as a change management agent, a conversation manager, something she believes is essential for her purpose. She's the founder of Pen the Vision as well as an author. Let's meet her. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Colourful Layers podcast.
So I often echo that I am a deliverer of messages that contribute to making our world a more beautiful place. Obviously, it's everyone who hears me is like, oh wow, like you're just so clear and so I'm like, guys, that has come through years. The clarity of the vocabulary has come through years and years of interrogating. And I do thank God that at the cusp of me releasing my book, the vocabulary became clearer, which was important as I was about to go into the world. So that is, the vocabulary, like literally it's something that happened a couple of months ago. How do I language what I do? How do I language this thing that I love and I'm passionate about? But I've always known in many ways that my purpose is around communication, around messages, but it being such a sweet statement, so clear, came through years of interrogation. And I had to trace back the patterns of my life, right? And I talk about a lot of these stories. When people get the book, they will see these stories that I mentioned. I talk about at 12, I had this massive inclination to do a speech on xenophobia at school, right? So you look at those patterns at where I've always been just drawn to conversations or ideas or topics that touch on these social political messages. I had to do a speech on racism. At church, the things that I saw in the Bible were kind of different from what people were talking about. Hence, sometimes I've always felt like I do think I am a misfit in many ways in the spaces that I find myself in. And then you look at just over the years, why do I care so much about sharing stuff? That when I learn something, I want to share it to help the other person. So then you constantly are asking yourself, and there's something so fulfilling every time I talk about something I love or I comment, I am so fulfilled. Even right now, when we exit this conversation, it's almost as if I've won the lotto, or like I've won, maybe the lotto is even small. Like I've been enriched with, I don't know, all types of, I don't know, spiritual blessings. Literally, I think because there's this constant confirmation that this is what you're meant to be doing. So I think in many ways, yes, to answer your question, when I was young, I didn't have this. I was just doing stuff. Now that I'm clear and older, it is an incredible conviction to walk into a room and be so clear of what you stand for, because then that is your value proposition, right? Even in a team, that's my value proposition, and it's a competitive advantage. I must say, it's a tremendous competitive advantage. Yeah.
That's so powerful. I think I'm actually going to take the time and pin it down so that I know. Because I think also when you're saying that that's your value proposition, sometimes you find yourself in a situation, like for instance, in a team situation, whereby now you're trying to fill in parts or shoes that are not your strength, but because you know where your strengths lie, then you become well equipped and you can sit back or move forward simply by just knowing. That's beautiful. Now you became self-aware, if that's even the correct word, from a very young age. I was actually just listening to I forgot what the celebrity's name is, and he was talking about how he knew from a very young age that he wanted to get into acting and so on and so forth. So I think there are those very fortunate people, but very few of them, and you fall into that group. And this started with you questioning around your purpose. Can you take us through that?
Okay. So I love the thinking or the thoughts around self-awareness, because in reflection, I don't know if I was. But I think what you mean in many ways is maybe there was a consciousness that many people don't get to have at a younger age that I got to have, my consciousness of my existence. So, and I mean, it's a story that I talk about in my book. It was one of the first, in fact, the first essay that I wrote in the book is titled, "You Can Never Give Off What You Are Not Full Of." And I did not have the segment around my encounter with God. And then when my editor read it, she's like, there's something incomplete about this essay. I don't know what it is. You talk about God, but you don't give context. I think I didn't have it initially because I'm not going to lie to you, Amos, and I'm saying this to preface my answer, because we do live in a world that when you say, oh, I heard a message from God, is almost the cynicalness or like, yeah, whatever, and it's like, come on, we downplay lived individual experiences. I'm not saying this is what needs to happen and people must now open a church or a religion. I'm saying this is what happened to me as Bonke. So I mentioned in the book that I was 15 years old, and I think at 15, most of us would know you're transitioning, or you are already a teenager, you're grappling with a lot of things in your adolescence. Like many teenagers, I was grappling. I was grappling with my identity. I was grappling with the fact that I've never necessarily been a girl that I guess was commercially attractive in the eyes of the world. I'm just the kind of girl that you would ignore on the side of the road. So you grapple with that because at the time, as you would know, that our society over worships beauty and people who follow it. So I was grappling with all of those things. And I mentioned that though I was raised in a Christian home, I'd never really had a personal encounter with God for myself. I think, when you're raised in a Christian home, you're taught to revere God. And at church, they're always taught, oh, God is this thing that you must just fear. So, and I remember I was just going through there was just this darkness that was just hovering me. And I was asking myself, does my life matter? And it had been a series of just, I guess, moments that I was just like frustration. Then I remember this one time I decided to go to the bathroom. And as you would know, if you're raised in a black family and you have a big family, the only place that you can fully be yourself is the bathroom.
That's so true.
You share a room with everybody. You can't literally go anywhere. So I always used to escape to the bathroom as a place of just solitude. And so here I was in the bathroom, and I was just like asking, I was like, God, you can hear me, like, does my life matter? It wasn't even like a scream, like this silent thing with like, I didn't even think I used words, and I was just crying out. And obviously there's quite a lot of words that I heard in that time. Some of them I don't remember, but this is what I remember. And I heard the words, I have called you to impact your generation positively. And oh my God, sis, like, oh my God, like I cannot fully express the tremendous peace that I felt, the tremendous confidence when I flushed the toilet, having to go back. Like, and I think that is the words that have set my soul on fire. So I think what I needed to know was just like, does my life matter? And those words were like, yes, they matter. But the clarity of how I matter, the clarity of my purpose has come through movement. All I knew was, okay, cool, there's something I'm meant to be doing in this world. And that has come through movement. And that has come through me. When I hear an inclination to try something, I do it. And try this, try that. And then it is through those things that I'm like, hence our slogan at Pen the Vision is purpose comes through movement. And what we add to the purpose discourse is that the clarity of your purpose comes through movement. As you are trying things out, as you're figuring stuff out, you get clearer, you get to know, what is it that when I do this, like, I feel at home? And that is how your clarity, so yeah, that is my story around. It has come through movement over the years.
That is so beautiful. Like, just listening to your story, I get like goosebumps. So I want us to unpack the meaning of purpose, because, I think, because I want to go deeper into, you finding your purpose. I'm just curious to know what your perspective or thoughts around just what purpose is. Because growing up, I always had this vision of, when you're born, it's almost like God just plants this seed that is like your purpose, and it looks a specific way, and it's brought to life or experienced in a specific way. You know what I mean? But then obviously when you go through life and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this thing? What's happening? Why doesn't it look like this? So I started to realize that maybe perhaps my view was a little bit, flawed. So I just want to, get your sense on this.
I don't think your view is flawed at all. I think, and that's part of the mandate of thinking in full color, is that there are multiple ways in which we can understand the world, right? And most of our convictions, opinions, are born from our lived experiences. So the general definition, right, of purpose, and maybe we can retouch on it, that most people are familiar, is the reason for existence, or the reason for why, or your why, other people call it, or the reason something is created. So there's that general societal understanding of purpose. So my revelation, again, from my lived experience and how I define purpose, has been in the Vision website, is purpose is doing that which nourishes you and serves others. That's the revelation I have. So doing this right now is so purposeful. This conversation with you is so nourishing. Not just the fact that I'm obviously like as a part of the person in this particular episode. But what you are trying to do with Colourful Layers is so nourishing. And I do think we are stepping into purpose, and I know that it is going to serve somebody. When I do my change management and communication consulting with my clients, because I have a conviction that I'm infusing my purpose, it is so nourishing, and I know that it's serving my client's agenda. So my definition of purpose rather has expanded, and that has been birthed from my lived experience. And I think all lived experiences have a right to contribute to the purpose discourse. Your interpretation matters. My interpretation matters, because the world has a myriad of ways in which people understand. So we must be comfortable, and that's what Thinking in Full Color advocates for. We must be comfortable to bring color to things, and not rush to say, no, this is the only definition. There are multiple definitions that we need to be able to bring to the fore, because somebody hearing this will resonate, somebody hearing your definition. And I think we need to be able to live in a world where we should be comfortable with our different expressions that are birthed from our different lived experiences.
Just thinking back, I think for me personally, it wasn't not so long ago where I was sitting in my room and really just in thought, because, you know, certain things had even happened in life where I was just thinking around my purpose. And, you know, do you have any steps maybe for somebody who's out there thinking like, you know, what is my purpose? What does it look like that they could take to start to try and craft this or be on the path?
I think I'll reiterate this point to preface my answer, right? That I think as soon as people say, do you have steps, it's almost as if we should have the right answer or a scientific answer. But I think, as I've said before, most of our opinions are born from lived experience data, right? So I think for me, the things that have shaped my life and have continued to shape my life, and I always share this with the people I'm close to, my colleagues, my friends, my family. The first thing is solitude. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in solitude. And I think we live in a world where it's noisy. One of my favorite creators of our time, Nicola Cole, she delivered a lecture, and she also wrote in her book that being a human is a noisy business. There's constant things that are coming at you. That's why I always say you have to, number one, find time to be in solitude. So I spend tremendous amount of time alone. And I know it's not always easy for people, but you have to find it. Like, I mean, when I get to school, I go to the toilet because I crave solitude so much. It is the place where I get to hear myself. I get to hear God. And I love a line in the book, Manuscript Found in Accra. There's a line that says, solitude is not the absence of company. And you are in the greatest company, in the company of God, in your company of yourself. Because it's in solitude that you get to ask big questions, that you get to be extremely vulnerable and know yourself. We have to know ourselves and go deep, even in the moments where that. And so I know myself in a way that no human does. And so when I confidently go into the world, it's from a place of knowing, in a place of sureness. So solitude, it is, you have to, and it is there that you are. And I promise you, when you sit in solitude, you think whatever that comes to you. I think, I pray, I read. I sit in long stretches of, sometimes I like to sit in my garden and speak to nature, speak to Mother Earth. You would be surprised at the wisdom that comes to you, the messages that nature brings, answers that are there. So solitude. Number two, just do stuff, try things out. Like, people do not understand, like the fact you don't understand how excited I am that you created this podcast, because the magic is in movement. The magic is not in being static. The magic is in movement. When you're trying things out, that's when you're figuring things out. That's when you know, okay, the next time I need to do it. And that's when you're plugging into other people. If I had never obeyed the voice that said, just write this thing and share, Almost you and I would not know each other.
True.
And you would know in your own life, as a creative, just the power of putting out. People try things out and don't do it from a place of, I want to be seen, because that's another thing in the social media world that we live in. Like, we are always doing things for likes. Do it from a place of love. Do it from a place of, I love this and I'm going to do it. I don't know how many days I would write till today. I don't have social currency, but I still do stuff because I love it, and I now rather end my chapter on earth, even if no one ever likes what I did, but at least I'll end my chapter on earth knowing, you know what, man, I had a great time. And then the last one is just go to we have a couple of I love these questions because, there's a lot of video essays, there's a lot of written content that we share around some of these questions, and I know that even if it's because the first place of transformation is awareness, right? And for me, it's just to create awareness on how you can go about doing certain things. So yeah, those are my 3 thoughts.
Amazing. And I love the fact that they are actionable in terms of what you said. So it's not like airy-fairy stuff.
Like and subscribe to the Colourful Layers podcast. Colourful Layers podcast.
It's been many challenges that I've had in my life. The first one is, remember I mentioned to you that I had this encounter at 15 and I knew that was called to impact my generation, but don't know how, obviously. So you have this encounter with clarity, but you still go back to your normal life. Your parents are shouting at you, you're sharing a room with your siblings, you still need to go to school. So you're still very much normal. It's like you live with this inner knowing, but your outer expression is still very normal. Cool, I grow up, go to school, get to corporate. But the thing about growing up throughout my life, because I've always been different, I've always been at school doing speech contests, I've always been a communicator in some way, and always been like just a different kind of child to a certain extent. Get to corporate, whoa. This place is hard. This place wants everybody to think the same. And I talk about it in my book. I lost myself for 2 years. I lost that girl that was on fire, that girl. I even forgot that actually I had heard the message that I've called you to impact you. I forgot. Like, I literally compromised on who I was trying to fit in, and I was dying inside because I needed to survive. And obviously, and I mentioned this story in the book, that then I have this encounter. I'm on the traffic, I'm stuck going to work, and I'm crying, and God says to me, you can never give up what you're not full of. I was depleted. I needed to go back to a place of filling up again so that I remind myself of who I am. And I talk about it, that filling up has come in different ways. I had to spend time again just, praying, because I forgot solitude. I forgot all of that when I came to the city of gold. You just forget. You forget yourself. I had to do a couple of things to reestablish who I was. But I'm not gonna lie to you, and also because I think I didn't have this confidence in this vocabulary. When you start out, you acquire certain things in your career, like you get the car, you get used to imali and all of that. So you also get trapped into, you stick to a job because you need to pay bills.
And maintain a lifestyle.
And maintain a particular lifestyle. So even having to relearn my relationship with money has been quite a challenge. I've been unemployed twice after that, which have been hard, but probably one of the best experiences of my life, because I was unemployed going to pursue a dream. So I know what it's like to then say, I'm packing this corporate thing, I'm going to try and do these things, and things don't go well. I'm like, but God, I thought I heard you. And things went, literally found myself having to pack my bags, go back to KZN, because I couldn't afford to live in Joburg. I had to rebuild again. But it is through those moments where the clarity of it's almost as if my purpose needed me to refocus on it again, and the clarity. So, And then I also just learned the power of repurposing purpose. And it's a story I talk about in the book, that I needed to ask myself, okay, Bonks, what are the things that you care about? I care about people flourishing. I care about serving my creator. I care about communicating, delivering messages. And I realized that I could strategically infuse all of these things in my career, in my job. And I can tell you now, every job, after having that light bulb, ta-da, come into me, every job I've come into, it's almost as if I come with this fire, and it has been so meaningful because, again, that's my value proposition. So the people who hire me love me for that. And I'm so confident. So now I love the work that I do because I get to do things my way. And energetically in the universe, you get to attract things because now you're clear. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think of a book. Never, ever, never knew. It literally was one of those things that came through movement. I remember also it was 3-4 years ago, I was at this young lady's book launch, and she was just talking about her journey. And something in me was like, you have to write a book. I'm like, about what? Like, people know what they are. Like, what am I going to say in a book? And, but I remember when I settled, I'm like, okay. And I prayed that day. I was like, okay, cool. Went outside, sat in the balcony, and I remember when I didn't know what my book was very emergent. All I remember was something asked me, what do you want this book to be about? I was like, well, I just want a collection of things that have helped me and have shaped the way that I see the world, and that show my metamorphosis, but also that are connected to all the other thinkers that I've learned from, that I absolutely love and worship the way that they see the world. So in many ways, that has been like the metamorphosis, but it's been like my spirit has been, I care about the world. I want to make the world a better place. I want to contribute. So the spirit at which I wrote the book was then a collection of essays that fall under thoughts for nation building, for workspaces, and at the individual humanist, which are these three buckets that impact us in whether we like it or not. And I wanted to bring just some research, my lived experience, some thoughts around that. So yeah, man, I hope you get to understand thus far how I then, have
Amazing.
this book.
Yeah, no, totally. So I'm interested to know, I mean, obviously you've just spoken about the metamorphosis. So how does the title come about? And also just like a quick run through just the journey of now, from conceptualizing to writing to actually now packaging, and like that journey. Was it full of challenges? Was it easy?
Firstly, this was not the title I initially had. I had so many titles. In fact, I had this title. This title came when I had an editor already. When a couple of months when we were getting ready to wrap it up. Because I kept on changing. Because when you're it's like it's not fitting in. Because obviously there's been a lot of writing and there's many things that didn't make it. Many things, even this year when I was getting ready to publish it, had to delete a couple of things, re-edit. But really, the spirit of it was, I realized that I guess how this title finally came to me was around for us to have nuance in how, like if you see the theme of my book and when you read the essay, it's almost as if I'm literally calling us to not be lazy with our thinking, not to be black and white, but to add nuance, to be empathetic to how the other person sees the world. And that for me, in summary, is just color.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Colourful Layers podcast. Coming up on Colourful Layers, we stay the course with Bongeka Mhlongo.
What do you say to somebody that, and I think you touched a little bit earlier on it, but I just want to know, what do you say to somebody that's feeling a little unfulfilled right now with their day job, and they feel like, what they're passionate or what their purpose is does not pay the bills, so they have to do this job and they're unfulfilled?
I was once that person, and it's a story I share in my, so I relate, and it's a very valid emotion in a valid state. And one of the essays in my book is titled Repurposing Purpose. And I say one of my ending statement is, contrary to what motivational speakers often say, give up your job and follow your dreams. I'm a realist. I'm like, I ain't about to quit my job, because I think if we're strategic enough, we can use our jobs to fund our dreams. We can use our jobs to experiment, like be the guinea pigs of our dreams, right? So, I mean, I would say to this person, I don't believe, again, and maybe my full color thinking is here, I don't believe in the linear process of leave job, go to dream. I think you can do both. I think you can, but you have to start somewhere. So one of the things that really helped me back then was starting Pen the Vision as a blog. So yes, sure, there were moments where my job was really challenging, right? So then you have this outlet that you are so excited about, where you beginning to find yourself and create. So I would really say to that person, start by finding some sort of outlet. Let's not rush for overnight success. Volunteer your things for free. Like, I don't know, whatever it is. If you into music and you know you have this deep calling for music, I mean, start singing at weddings, at different restaurants, but volunteer yourself so that you find an out. But now we have YouTube also. Create a YouTube page. Start. Create a YouTube page. Create a website. Offer your services, and also just find elements that you can begin to inject. And like, I think what social media has given us, it's that the gatekeepers who used to be production houses, right? They used to only select one or two people. What's the gift of social media is all creatives have a playing field now, and that is where, for me, I encourage creatives to create something now. There's free websites. There's YouTube, it's free. Just start and create your outlet. And also think about, if you are able, as I mentioned in my story, I had to ask myself, what are some of the elements that I'm passionate about that I can inject into my job? And there's no employer who's going to say, no. Don't inject things that are going to enhance our business. I'm passionate about people flourishing. I'm passionate about communication. I'm passionate about creativity. So see what things you can inject into your job, and start slowly injecting those. So I guess, it's those two things, because it is through that your joy gets reenacted, your clarification around, why am I doing this, gets established. Just start though.
Very good advice. Love that. Bongeka, firstly, I just want to say that, this is my first time ever interviewing an author. So this is really an honor and a really great opportunity, because, it's always been my dream to do something like this, even also in my storytelling endeavor, to actually even one day maybe even write a book. So this has been highly inspirational and powerful. So thank you. Where do we find you? How do we get a hold of your book?
Cool. So I am on Instagram at Bongze Mhlongo, BONGZ Mhlongo, MHLONGO. I'm Somizi's sister, younger sister.
Really?
No, well, we share the same surname. So yes, actually, we share a common ancestor. So I'm also on Facebook, Bongeka Mhlongo, and LinkedIn, Bongeka Mhlongo. So my book is available for now, because I think I wanted to have signed messages for the first phase of my book, because next year we will be in bookstores. So for now, it's available on my website, and if you order it on my website, you're gonna get a personalized message.
Yay!
So just go to www.penthevision.co.za Pen the Vision, PENTHEVISION.co.za, and go to shop, and then the book is there. You can order it, and then we will send you a personalized message, because you're going to leave your details there.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Bongeka, for taking time to do this. Just talking to you, I just, like, at certain moments, I feel goosebumps. I'm learning so much, and I just feel so encouraged. And congratulations on the amazing work that you're doing, your wonderful book, and just the movement that you are pushing. It's really inspirational.
Thank you. We are all in this color movement. I am so honored to meet you. This journey has given me access to some of the best gems in our country, and you are one of them. Gems in many ways that are unsung yet. So I'm so happy you are also pushing the colorful agenda, the color agenda. We are pushing the color agenda. Something about color. That's revolutionizing our creative economy. So I am so honored, and I just so grateful to every single person who's going to dial in and listen, and just may their lives be impacted positively. And I pray that every single person gets to really live a life of deep joy and deep meaning, and know that they matter, no matter how they feel, but they matter. The fact that they're in the human format, they have every right to exist, and their contribution matters.
And just like that, we are done. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as Bongeka and I did recording it. Tweet me at Motsotaje and share with me your favorite moments of the episode. And again, please don't forget to grab yourself a copy of Thinking in Full Color by Bongeka Mhlongo. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till we meet again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Colourful Layers podcast.